Hello, greetings, and welcome back to my channel, QueenTashaTV. I didn't want to have that in the picture. Oh well, just ignore the light switch here. I tried to make this, I set it up before. Here we go. There we go. All right, ignore the first couple seconds. But greetings and welcome to my channel, and today's special live of me sharing a personal story that very few people have heard yet, but I would like to tell it in public so that I can have a record for myself. And then if anybody else has been interested and wanted to know what I am doing. Right now, today, I am recording from my phone, which I normally don't do. I normally do live from my computer so that I can chat back. But I am live from Tulum, and Tulum internet for streaming stuff like this and going live is just not, it's not the business. So it's better to just do it on my phone. So hopefully I have a good signal for the majority of the live. So if I don't, I probably won't really know. That's funny. But anyways, so let's get into the juicy stuff of why you're here today, which is to hear my story about my psychedelic mushroom trip. So first, let's start with a little backstory. First is, why did I want to try mushrooms or psychedelic mushrooms? So it's no secret that I'm a stoner and I smoke weed for medicinal and recreational purposes. It helps with a lot of things. So do your research on all the benefits that cannabis and THC and all the other terpenes that are related to that are great. But with my spiritual awakening and, the different levels that happen and unfoldings that happen with that, and being interested in plant medicine and healing myself. One of the main reasons why I started to smoke weed on a regular basis was so that I could stop taking depression medicine. So, and I started using it as, hey, oh, okay, this is where the chat comes over here. What's up, Terry? How are you? So I started taking a little bit of, smoking a little bit of cannabis on a regular basis to not have to take any type of Western medicine to help with that, which I have done in the past. And then, it became a regular thing. I also like the feeling of being high, so it is a recreational thing. I'm not going to be like, oh, it's all for, medicine and healing. It is a recreational, social thing for me. I'd rather smoke than drink, to be honest. And it's a plant and it's a medicine and all of that. So, along with learning about different herbs and medicines, which I do a lot of herbal healing for myself with the apothecary that I have of different herbs, and mushrooms in the non-psychedelic sense I have been interested in as well. I've learned about different mushrooms that are adaptogens and that help with hormones and all type of things. So I've been interested in all types of different plant medicines. So when it came to psychedelics, learning about psychedelics and plant medicines from that realm, it's been really interesting on a holistic side, but also on a spiritual, enlightening side. So my intentions is not with connecting with the plant is first from a medicinal point, which is I learned also that psychedelic mushrooms help with depression and anxiety and a lot of other traumas and things like that. Depending on your intention when you use any type of plant medicine or alternative drug, um, that there has to be intention behind it. So my intention isn't to get high or anything like that. My intention is to have a spiritual enlightening through exploring other realms, through the connection you have with different plant medicines. So I have tried DMT in the past, which is a I won't even go into all the scientific stuff around that. I'm not that savvy about it, but I have done a lot of research around it. You can grow it. It's something just like cannabis. There's a receptor in your brain that is similar to the mushroom trip, and I'll explain it when I go into the story. But um, outside of that and weed, I've never tried anything really else. So I have done mushrooms in the psychedelic sense in smaller doses with the same intentions, but it wasn't until I went to Costa Rica and did a full dose that I actually had like a full on trip of what people describe as a trip. And I asked a lot of questions to different people that have tried it to see what I was, what to expect and how it helped them and stuff like that, because basically doing a social experiment, or not social experiment, a scientific experiment on myself by trying it. So the first time that I did a microdose, like maybe that was in like 2020. Hey Ash, what's going on? I did a microdose, which was a little bit of powder in some tea, and that feeling gave me a little bit of a stomach ache, a little bit of a stomach ache or crampy feeling in my stomach. But I did get a heightened sense of focus, and like when I did it, I went and did it like I was working. So I was like, I took it. I wanted to see like if that would help me stay focused during work, and it did. Like I felt really creative. I felt really like driven and passionate about what I was doing, and it really helped me focus on what I was doing without being like highly distracted like I normally am with my phone and maybe something outside or my dog at the time. Like I get easily distracted. So I tried it that one time and I was like, okay, that's not too bad, but I didn't really like the stomachy feeling. And then I did a meetup with someone out in nature, and they had a relationship with mushrooms, and I wanted to have somebody be there, which I thought I was gonna do a full dose, and it ended up just being a macro dose. So I seeped about 3.5 grams into some tea, or I made a tea out of it, and I drank a couple of cups of that, like a couple of cups of it. We seeped a good amount, and then we split it, and then we reseeped it and split it, and then the next day we like ate, or no, that night we ate a mushroom, and after all of that, I never had like a full trip. Basically, what happened during the macro dose was I could see the energy of anything that is living, or just anything in general. Like I saw things vibrating. I yeah, it was just really like a slow vibe, almost like I was, in water. And then when I was having the conversation with the person that I was with, like I would like really listen and like really focus and like really daze out on that particular moment that was happening, and being able to just like hear clearly and being like, oh, okay. So it wasn't, from my comparing that to the full trip that I had in Costa Rica, that was definitely a macro dose. And I knew that at the time. After the fact, I was like, I don't think, and she was like, yeah, I didn't have a full trip either. So like, it wasn't what I was expecting. And so each time before I've done, before I did, because I tried it again. I tried it again by myself for the winter solstice. And still in that time, nothing happened aside from having a stomach ache all day long. And in that time, I grinded it up and put it in capsules, in vegan capsules. And I took about maybe 4 grams, maybe 4 or 5 grams in vegan capsules. And it ended up being a lot of capsules because I didn't know that there was like various different sizes of capsules. And once you grind up mushrooms, it's like a lot. And so packing it, I ended up packing like all these pills. And I was like, I can't swallow all these pills. So I didn't end up taking, I think I got 7 grams and I only took like maybe 5. So all I really had was a stomach ache. And I fasted before all of these times because people told me that you're supposed to fast and not eat and do it on an empty stomach. So I was like, okay, I followed the protocol of what I thought was good, but none of those times really hit until Costa Rica. So I capsulated in bigger capsules that were gelatin capsules, about 6.5, 7 grams of mushrooms. And I thought that I would do it like on a mystical, magical hike. And I'm glad that idea was not that didn't come through, because that would have been awful. But I did, if you watched any of my Costa Rica videos, which the La Fortuna video is only on Patreon, so you wouldn't have seen this, but the suite that I had in La Fortuna, which was near the hot springs, which is where I wanted to go, I ended up doing it at that little villa. So I had like a little private room to myself, and it was not like a busy hotel or anything. It had 6 villas, and I think there was only maybe 3 of them that were being used. So that day I woke up, went to the hot springs early in the morning, and hung out at the hot springs for a couple hours, and then came back. And I had fasted. No, I didn't fast. I had breakfast that morning. And that morning, I wasn't feeling all that great. And that's when I was like, oh, I don't know if I should take these mushrooms. So I was like, I don't want to take them back with me. I don't want to bring them back. So I got to figure out how to do this without having such an awful time doing it. So going in this precursor, I had a little bit of a stomach ache. And it turns out it was because I just can't do beans anymore. And I had a bean empanada thinking, okay, that's better than cheese. Cheese really messed up my stomach, and the beans really messed me up. So anyways, I went to the hot springs, then I came back and I went to this little, they call it in Costa Rica, soda, SODA, what we call soda. It's like a little, on the side of the road, like little restaurant. Like little restaurant that has like, what's a soda, which is like the meal that is that. It's like, it's really good. But they had also stuff. La Fortuna has a little bit different style of how they do their food. And so anyways, I got some food there, then went back to my villa, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. So first I coated my stomach with some papaya enzymes. So I took a couple papaya enzymes, which is what I always use. That's my natural Pepto-Bismol or gas, thing. I usually use that. So I took a couple of those because my stomach still wasn't feeling good, and I was like, these mushrooms are gonna go in here, and I'm just like, I gotta do it. So I popped the mushrooms, and then I was like, okay, let me be productive before this hits. So I sat down to roll up all of the rest of the weed that I had. Terry, I think if you were In a faster state, that would upset your stomach. In a fasted state, that would upset. That's what I. That's what I thought. I tried the fasted way, and that didn't make a difference in my stomach not hurting. So I was like, let me eat something. Plus, it was late in the day when I did this, or later in the morning or day. Yeah, I think it was like after. I think it was like 2 something. I took the mushrooms, and by 3:45 ish, yeah, I think it was about 3:45. The full trip happened. So I took the mushrooms in the pill form. I can't remember how many pills it was, but I capsulated it in bigger capsules, so I didn't have to take that many. But I think there was probably maybe 11, and that was about 6.5 to 7 grams. And I took that, and it took about an hour, hour and a half ish to kick in. So I sat and I rolled up the weed that I had. I was like, I gotta roll up all the rest of this weed because I got a couple of days to smoke it before I leave Costa Rica. And if you are on my Patreon, you will find a very funny story that happened after, like, as I was coming down from probably my last trip. Yeah, it was like my last trip that I was having, and I had gotten ready to go to dinner, and I had already rolled up the J's, and I wanted to like figure out how to divvy up the J's to smoke it. And it's a whole funny story. So if you go over to Patreon, $5 a month, and you can watch those couple videos that are over there. But anyways, I digress. So I take the mushrooms and I'm rolling up the weed, and then I start feeling a little bit. So in the room there was the bed, and then there was the TV across, and then on the wall there was a sign that said no smoking. No smoking. And then the wall was like a plain white wall, but like it was a little bit textured. And so, but there was a sign on the side of the TV, and I kept looking at that sign as I was rolling up, and I was just like, I'm not gonna smoke in the room, but it was just funny, that they put a sign in the room. I was like, why would they? Yeah. And so, anyways, I look up at the sign one time while I was rolling up, and I see it starts moving around, and I was like, oh, it's starting to happen. So yeah, the first thing that happened was like things just started moving. Like it was either melting or moving back and forth. It was interesting. So first it started off with the no smoking sign. And then as I got closer to the TV, you could see on the TV the wavy part of the TV like was doing stuff. It got really cool in the bathroom. So inside the bathroom, there was these tiles on the wall that looked like the wall was like wet. That's what the tile looked like, just sober and just regular. On mushrooms, the wall was dripping the whole time. It was dripping and melting, and sometimes it would be like drip drop, and then sometimes it would just be like melting. It would just depend on what part of the wall I was looking at. Then in the shower, in the huge shower that I had, it had that on the wall too. And then on the bottom, it had this like patterned, like cool patterned tile. And they were big tiles. And it had this, I don't know how to describe it, but just like patterns, and the pattern were white and blue. And then in between, there was like caulk in between, like where the decorations were. And that was just like moving around too. Like it was doing like a little dance pattern with each other where it was like going around the patterns. Like there was just movement going around the patterns. It was really cool. It was super cool. So you had the dripping on the walls, and then you had this like pattern kaleidoscopy thing going on the floor. And I was like, oh, okay. During all of this fun stuff that was happening, like visually with my eyes open in the room, just seeing what the room was doing. And then I look outside, and the plants were like swaying back and forth, and I could see like little eyeballs in the plants, like little, what looked like little eyeballs in the plants. And then it just made me, I started watching the ants. The ants in that area are really interesting because they like collectively have a mission every day. And they go get food or they're building up the little fort and they're in a line, they follow. Ants are very interesting on how they colonize, but like they had a really interesting thing going on at that property because like I followed a whole little brigade, like all the way to the pool, like past the pool, up a hill, like they was on a mission. So I looked outside and I could see them doing that, and I was watching them, and I was just like, oh, okay, that's really interesting. And then I was like, you know what, I should probably give them some food, like they're staying outside. I don't know why I always want to feed stuff outside. I'm one of those people. I'm probably gonna be one of those old ladies who like feeds the birds or something. But I thought to feed them, so I had some like cookie crumbles and I threw them outside and I watched to see if they would get it. And I was like, oh, okay, we'll come back. Because it was really hot and the sun was right there, so there wasn't too many ants right there at that time. And then I come inside, I'm like, okay, I'm getting hot. And so I just take off all my clothes. I was like, you know what? I'm in my room. I could be naked. I'm going to walk around naked. I also had a terrible stomach ache. Let's just say the whole time. But the whole time I felt like I had to poop. Like I felt like I had to poop. So I said, if I don't have on any clothes, then I can just walk to the toilet, sit on the toilet board, I'm good. I don't want it. Like that was my theory in my head. I was just like, I just need to be naked so I can poop when I need to. That also at one point changed into I'm gonna have a baby. There's a baby inside and it's gotta come out. And then I was just like, how am I gonna be as a mother? Because I definitely want to still be a mom. And I'm like, maybe I'm too old to be a mom now because I don't have patience for the whole labor thing. But I'm like, you know what? I'll be a champ. And this is what I'm saying to myself in my head. I'm like, or not in my head, like out loud as I'm walking around the room. I'm like, in my mind, I thought I was in labor. So I was just like, okay, you got this. Like, you're a warrior. The baby will come out and you'll see. You'll be fine. Like I was like, maybe I'm gonna be a momzilla during labor, and I'm just gonna be screaming and yelling like, let me have my hippie lotus birth. Everybody get out of the room. I got this. I was like, but I really wanted to take a poop. Like it just, whatever was brewing in my stomach, like just gave me this like Bee Gees feeling the whole time. And you all know what the Bee Gees feel. It just, you want to poop, and it's just like, I had the urge to have to pee and poop the whole time, and nothing was really coming out. It was really unpleasant as far as my stomach wise, but I was just like, I just want this baby out of me. Like, why do I have to be in labor with the baby this many hours? Like, this is what I was telling myself, like walking back and forth. And then I was like, okay, we're going to get this baby out. And I got down on my hands and knees. I had my yoga mat out. Wait, did I have a yoga mat? No, I had a towel. I put my towel. I was like, I didn't bring my yoga mat. I put a towel out on the ground, and I got down on my hands and knees, and I was like, okay, it's time to get this baby out. And I was just doing all kind of exercises, hoping that would soothe my stomach. I mean, I knew consciously that I was not pregnant, but like I was still like, I gotta get this baby out of me, this food baby, whatever it is that needs to give birth, trauma, whatever. I was just like, okay, we're gonna birth it out. I'm gonna birth this trauma baby, whatever it is that is, giving me resistance. It turned into a lot of different things. Like it was a baby because I want to have a baby, and I feel like maybe I'm missing my window, but I don't think about those type of things. But like that's what sometimes inner stories that happen when you have conversations with people that are like, oh, you waited this long to have a baby. Like, are you really gonna have a baby now? And they plant that seed of doubt, and I'm just like, I don't like to listen to that, but like those stories definitely go in my head. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's too late for me to have the baby. Maybe this is, me giving birth to the baby. It was all kind of irrational stuff. And then it also turned into like, okay, my resistance of money. I was like, maybe this is a money baby, and I need to figure out the trauma from my money thing. And then I was just like, okay. I started like doing my little money mantras, and I sat down on the floor and I was like, ching, ching, ching goes the money tree. And every time a ching, money comes to me. And I was like doing that like to soothe my mind, to be like, okay, we're gonna get this baby. And in between this, I was walking back and forth to sit on the toilet and just like I was squatting over the toilet. Okay, we're gonna get this out. I was like, I know that I have to take a shit. Like eventually I have to take a shit. Like, so let me just go, and every time I have the urge to push, I push on the toilet so that I don't poop. So I don't poop on myself, you know? So anyways, so yeah, I did that for a little bit. Then, you know, I got the urge to like stretch, and as all this was happening during that first rush of tripping, like my heart rate was going up, and I started feeling like I had a cup of coffee. I don't drink coffee because one, I don't like the taste of coffee, but also it gives me like this jittery, like, you know, adrenaline-ish. Not I couldn't even compare it to adrenaline rush. It was just jittery, maybe crackheady feeling. That's what I kept saying during this next phase of the trip. Is like I feel like a crackhead. But yeah, like my heart rate started to raise, and I started walking around profusely. I was just like, oh my gosh, like I was like, what can I do and I changed clothes a couple times. I was like, okay, I want to go outside and experience nature while I'm doing this. So I put on some clothes, walked outside, walked around. I was like, oh, this is cool. And I watched the cows for a second, and then I came back inside, took my clothes back off, walked around, sat on the toilet a couple more times, and it just kept getting more intense. And I was like, yo, I think I need to smoke, y'all. Like, I need to calm down, y'all. Like, I need to smoke some weed and chill. So this and so that was the next idea. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna smoke. I had rolled up all the J's right before the trip started happening, and I tried to roll it up so that they would be fat J's, but like I didn't break up the weed enough, and I packed these J's real tight, and so they were sticky and tight, and I tried to light it with a match because my whole lighter situation got fucked. It was a whole thing, like going through my brain, like trying to light this J. So I sat outside, like, oh, here I'm tripping on mushrooms and all the beautiful things, and I'm trying to fucking light this J. I got it lighted for a second, got one like minor inhale, and I was like, it keeps going out, and I was like, and I remembered about the mountains, that there's something about them being in the mountains or something. Maybe it was by the volcano, but something about being in the mountains. The air is different because starting a fire just in general is a struggle. And so I sat there and I had I had bought a book of matches, a couple books, but I was right there with one and it was getting low. And I was like, oh my gosh. If I run out of matches, I'm not gonna be able to smoke the rest of these J's. Like I want to smoke at least 2 more J's before the 2 J's for today. And if I run out of this and I don't have a lighter, I brought 3 lighters, 2 were down, and I forgot about the 3rd lighter, so I thought I had no lighters and just matches. So, and I knew I brought another matchbook, but I couldn't find it. So I'm sitting here like, okay, I'm gonna light the next one. We're gonna smoke this fucking J, yo. We're gonna smoke it. We're gonna chill. Maybe we'll lay down while this trip is starting to mellow out. And we'll lay down in the bed and chill because I had closed my eyes a couple times and it felt really cool. So I was like, I'm going to smoke this J and I'm going to lay down and chill for a second, right? I'm sitting out on the porch just like jittery, just like feeling like crackheadish. Like, and I've never taken crack, so I don't know. But I know people like my dad and people, you know, I grew up in the 80s, okay? So no stranger to a crackhead. So I know the symptoms, but like I just felt really jittery, and I was just like, I just want to smoke this J. I just want to smoke a little bit of this J, so I could just lay down and chill. until, because I knew that it was going to be like a roller coaster of different highs, just like edibles. Like I've done edibles before, and usually you have like one major spike, and then you come down a little bit, then it goes up a little bit, and then it comes back down, and then it's like a slow roller coaster down. So I'm out there trying to get the thing, and I think I have maybe 4 matches left in the book, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to smoke in the room. I was like, okay, let me tell you, I'm not a rule breaker. I try to be respectful of boundaries and rules that I respect, rules that I respect. And I respect if you don't want somebody to smoke in your establishment or your whatever. I respect that. You know what I'm saying? But like, I was in a dilemma, y'all. I couldn't get the fucking match to even stay on before I can even get it to the J. And I was getting stressed out. So I just wanted to smoke the J and lay down. So I was like, I'm gonna have to smoke in the room. Fuck it. I'm gonna smoke in the room. What are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? I'm down here. They're not gonna smell it. It's gonna be fine. I was like, I'm gonna open up my back window. I'll get it lighted in the room, and then I'll just smoke right outside and blow it out the window. That was my strategy. I was like, I'm only halfway breaking the rules. With the sign that was saying no smoking that was melting, that was creeping me out. I kept walking past the sign and looking at the sign like, shut up. But I smoked in the room. I got it a little bit lit, but I kept having to light it, and I was down matches, and I was like, when I go get food, I'm gonna have to go find a lighter or something. And then what was it? Dante say your baby was crying. So yeah, I got a little bit of smoke, and I was like, okay, let me lay down. My stomach is fucking hurting. I can't take a poop. And I was like, I'm just gonna lay down and enjoy a little bit of this. Because when I closed my eyes, I could see a little kaleidoscopy feeling happening, or effects happening. So I was like, that's pretty cool. So I laid down in the bed, and I let that go. And like, while I was laying down and the kaleidoscope happened, I started moving my hands around, and my eyes were closed the whole time, and I could see my hands and feet going, but it almost felt, and I tried to explain this to a few people that I've already told this story to, but like, it felt more real in my body than when I opened my eyes and did it. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody, but like, just the whole time I had my eyes closed, it felt like 4D vision. Like, it felt like that realm that I stepped into was more real than when I opened my eyes and looked outside or looked around me. Like, what I saw around me felt fake, and what I saw when my eyes closed, which, inside this, psychedelic realm, like that felt more real. So I don't know if that makes sense to anybody, if anybody who's on mushrooms, but like, I don't know how else to describe it. Like, it feels kind of like when you go to Best Buy and you see all the TVs, and you pass by all the TVs, and you see those ones that are like really good, clear vision, like 4D, 5D, whatever is going on over there, right? And it feels like the people are like right there, and they can like touch, like they can come out like almost like yeah. That's what it kind of felt like when I had my eyes closed, like that I was in the real world. If that makes sense. So yeah. So I was laying there doing that, just experimenting. That was pretty fun. And then I kind of did a little touching up myself to see what that was cool. And I masturbated a little bit, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool too. Just testing out stuff, because I had calmed down a little bit after having a couple hits of the J. I couldn't smoke the whole J, because I even gave up smoking in the room, because I just kept going through a guilt trip, and I was like, oh, and then I kept saying, oh, this is so crackheadish. Like, people, this is why we can't have nice things, because people smoking in the room. I'm smoking in the room. Like, I went through a whole crackhead trip for a little bit during that phase before I laid down. So like, laying down felt good. I laid down for maybe maybe 30 minutes before I had that urge to have to like go take a poop again, which let me tell you, I didn't poop until the next day. So I had this feeling for the whole trip, but once the stomach ache went away, the trip went away. So like the whole time that I was tripping, I had a stomach ache and felt like I had to take a poop. So yeah, I got up, did the little poop thing again, and then I was like, okay, what else can I do while I'm tripping that would be cool? And at this point, I was in like a dip of the first high coming down before the second one came up. So I had the towel out on the ground and I got down. I was like, I'm gonna do some naked yoga. So I took my clothes off again. I think I was probably already naked at that point, which is probably why I had that idea. So I started like just doing some stretching and stuff like that. And that's when the next little psychedelic trip started happening. So when I was looking down at the mat or down at the towel, like, and I was doing the movements, I could see that the towel was kind of making the same movements as me. And I was like, that's really cool. And then I had the window open, so I looked outside and I was like, ooh, it looks really cool outside again. I could see the energy in the plants and stuff. Like I could just see it vibrating. I could see the different things. But during that time, as that was happening again, I was like, oh, my heart rate started going up again. I was like, I don't want to have another crackhead feeling. I don't like that feeling. Why do I have to feel like this? Why do I have to have a stomach ache? And during that part of the trip, I was like, oh, I gotta try to smoke again. I was like, okay. Hunger Games is happening, Purge. I went into that whole thing. I was like, fuck it, we're just gonna have to break the rules. Like, I'm gonna have to figure out how to break the rules because we're gonna have to learn how to break the rules in order to survive soon because they got us fucked up. And so I went into this whole thing and I was like, nope, you know what? I'm gonna check this out. I can do this. And I don't know where that was going. Where that was going, but like I got really champed up. I put some music on, and this is when I started dancing. So I ended up putting clothes on because I was like, I want to film myself dancing. So there's a little dance session in the Patreon video that I filmed while I was tripping. But I was like, if I'm seeing vibration, I need to like vibrate and do it. So I put on some music real loud and started dancing. So if you know me and my, dance parties that I've had, and, I blast my music. I didn't have my karaoke mic. I was in Costa Rica. I didn't bring everything, but I was singing and dancing and just going and having a good time and just being like, I got this. Like, and then that's when I started talking about like, I'm gonna be a dope mom. Like, I'm gonna have such a cool birth. I'm gonna have dolphins there. Like, my baby's gonna float for a little bit. Like, it's gonna be a water birth. I'm gonna pull it out myself. It's gonna be fucking awesome. It's gonna be mermaid hippie lotus birth. That's gonna be awesome. My daughter's gonna be fucking magical. So yeah, it's good. And I was like reassuring myself, and then I got out my crystals and my cards, and I read my cards and I started crying because like the message during the cards was just like, it was like an empowering ish moment but it started off as like a freak out moment that I tried to like transmute into an empowering moment that I did. So I read some affirmations from my vision journal and I read my cards and did some crystal stuff and was dancing around, and I was like, okay, I'm going to take advantage of this. And that ended up being really cool, but I was like sobbing during the card reading. I know I have a picture of the card reading somewhere of what it was, but I don't remember exactly what it was. But it was what I needed to hear at that time. So that was that second high, which was like that. So it was like movement and dancing and then spiritual work and stuff like that. And just reaffirming myself that like the intentions of what I was trying to do, which is like some womb healing, some trauma healing. And I really just wanted to take advantage of that. And I made peace with some things that I felt guilty about when it comes to, you know, my maternal side and my maternal instinct and my maternal feelings that I've had and put off and stuff like that. And then people are always asking me questions, and people have fear that they put into, you know, that part or that choices that I've made. So it's just like I had to, you know, make some peace with those things, because I did a lot of womb healing while I was in Costa Rica. Like that was like, I left my baby there and I'm gonna go get her. I don't even know how to explain that without that being weird, but like in a sense that I planted a seed there during a ceremony that will come to fruition at some point. But yeah, the mushroom trip intention was to have healing and to release trauma and to, you know, just address anything that came up as far as anything that I needed to address. And, you know, some things came up I'm not going to talk about. Maybe I'll tell a little bit of that on my Patreon. But, yeah, so that was that, like, second peak of high. Trying to remember what happened during the next. Oh, okay, so during that time, that's when it started getting dark outside, and I was like, I want to go eat soon. I need to go get food. And the restaurant that I was going to closed at I think 9 or 9:30, and I wanted to go at like 7:30, something like that. Yeah, so that during that second, that was when I was like, okay, let me figure out how to smoke and get ready to go eat. So this is round 2 of trying to get the J started. Oh, I ended up smoking so much in that room. It's unfortunate. That was the only way I could do it. But yeah, so I ended up getting ready, and I just like had a whole little self-care moment. I went and took a long shower. When I was in the shower stuff started doing stuff again. I was like, that's cool. I had the music on loud. That shower was huge. Like, I could have easily had a couple other people in there with me. But yeah, I was in there. I washed my hair real good and scrubbed down real good. I did a little mask, and you know, there was like little moments of like little weird stuff that happened, but for the most part, like it was like pretty mellow during the next step. The next little high that happened wasn't like anything to go. Like the first 2 is where most of everything with me trying to give birth to a baby of some sort. And then, so yeah, I did that, did a mask, then I got put my makeup on or reapplied my makeup because sobbing and doing all that stuff. So I cleansed my face and got ready. And as I got ready, I was, you know, trying to figure out how I was going to smoke the J again. And that's when I told the story. That's where the recorded story that I have on my Patreon that I sat down and told, which is a 14-minute video. That is hilarious because I lose one of the J's during the thing. And then it's me looking for the J and then me describing how much weed I needed to smoke before I left Costa Rica. Weed and edibles. I was like, I gotta smoke so much weed before I leave. Like, it's like crazy. Anyways, so yeah, I told that little story, and eventually I went in the shower. I think the shower was like the best place because it was like, I don't know what it was about getting this stuff. But during that story, I found the 3rd lighter. When I was like, oh yeah, I brought another lighter. Let me go find it. And I went and found it. And I was like, yes. So I used the lighter to be able to smoke the J. And yeah, but it was still a struggle. So the next day I ended up unpacking all the J's really separating the weed out, re-rolling them back up, and then smoking them all before I left Costa Rica. But yeah, that was my mushroom trip story. It was basically me having to take a poop the whole time, but it was a journey of giving birth to something, um, and empowering myself through my own womb, I guess. Um, so my review of mushrooms. So, like I said earlier in the live, like my intentions for doing mushrooms and wanting to try other psychedelic medicines and herbal medicines is to have a spiritual journey, to have reconnection, going to other realms in order to um, heal and experience maybe a message or something like that in a realm that's not this. This 3D realm is fake. We're just all making it up. Like, so that's been my interest in doing it. The DMT experience was definitely a shorter version of like the kaleidoscope thing that I was telling you about when I was laying down and when I closed my eyes, it was just like colors and lights, just like if you were looking at a kaleidoscope. And then that branched out into like you could see trees and stuff like that. And then when I would move my hands in front of my eyes or I looked down or whatever, like I could see my being, but it wasn't like, it was like more clear. Yeah. But yeah, so in that DMT experience, it's like you hit it, you get high right away, so there's no delayed effect. There's no hangover effect or anything like that. Like you get high or you have the trip and then it lasts for like 15 minutes once it happens and then it's gone. So you have like an intense drop in and then you're out. With mushrooms, for me, the gateway, which is, the way that you ingest it and the way that your body um, digests it, it's no good for me. I don't like having a stomach ache in order to go to that place. I mean, I just feel like that's too high of a price. It was a very uncomfortable feeling the whole time. And I've tried it in different ways. Like I said, I've microdosed with powder, I've macrodosed doing it as a tea, and I've done a full dose doing it capsulated. I haven't actually like chewed it and ate it. I thought about doing that in another time if I decide to try it again. Not anytime soon. I'm not going to try it again anytime soon. Um, there's other different medicines that I want to try that I want to see if I don't have to have that effect. I do want to try it in a different way just to see if that makes a difference, to get maybe some advice from some other people on how to coat your stomach so you don't have that. But just as a precursor, or just to let you know, like, I think all mushrooms do that to my stomach because, like, regular just cooking mushrooms irritate my stomach. And sometimes if I have the mushroom coffees and stuff like that, like sometimes those will irritate my stomach. It just depends. Tinctures, not so much. Um, but sometimes those mushroom coffees like have like caffeine or sugar or some or milk that might irritate my stomach. So sometimes it's that. But um, just mushrooms in general are just, me and mushrooms are not, we just don't gel, I guess, because I don't like that feeling. I have that same feeling with kratom or kratom. I've tried kratom for, pain relief and stuff like that. People have raved about it, and I've heard such great things. And I was like, yes, I'm gonna try it. It tastes awful, okay, but I'm okay with getting over taste. It's not the taste thing. Like I would have ate the mushrooms, but it's a texture thing for me. Like I don't really like mushrooms. Eating mushrooms now. When I have it, it's like really cut up. Um, but I can get past taste, but if it makes me feel uncomfortable, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But I am appreciative to the journey that I went on as far as learning about myself, as far as very intensive stomach pains and it was almost like I went through labor to see if I if I could go through that type of pain. And yeah, I champed it out. Like I made it through the end. It was very uncomfortable, but I learned a lot about myself during that time. That's not the first awful stomach ache I've had. Um, but just during the trip, it just brought up a lot of those emotions and around my womb and being a mother and being a woman and being empowered and stuff like that when it comes to motherhood and womanhood and what makes you a woman and all that stuff. So that was basically that experience. Yeah, so for me, 5 out of 10. My next plant journey will be ayahuasca, which hopefully will happen here in Mexico before I leave. If not, then somewhere else at some point soon. But I would like to try ayahuasca. I know that has I know about that journey too, and it's not a pleasant one, but I think the outcome of that one is a little bit more long lasting and more beneficial, I guess, to the point that I'm trying to get to. But let's see if I'm trying to after your story. Yeah, everybody's different. I had, with the reason why, I tried it in different ways because I talked to different people that have tried it. And there's definitely people that have consistent stories about talking about the stomach pains and the nauseous and, the poop feelings and stuff like that. And that definitely happens and it's intense. But it doesn't happen to everybody every time. But I don't know how long I want to, experiment or how, where it starts to break down, where your body's like, okay, I'll ease you in, with a little lube. Put a little lube in there, gosh. Because it's intense. But as far as the trip part, I loved that feeling. Like I loved that feeling of feeling like I was in the real world. Um, and it felt really good to like go through that and like see the colors and see like all the magical things that happen during the trip. Like the actual tripping part is really cool, but the gateway to that trip is not my jam. So DMT, if I can, get a hold of that, that would be nice. I would love to try that again. I think the message that I got during that trip was really interesting, which was related to rest. Like that I'm always overdoing it and overworking myself, which I'm still doing. Like I definitely can easily burn myself out, but that was like it was like a fairy godmother and then I came and was like, you need to rest. And I got down on the ground and I laid down and went to sleep essentially. And she like rubbed my back and then the trip was over. So I definitely am not against mushrooms. I think for each to each his own. I am not saying I would never do mushrooms again, but it is not my preferred medicine for that healing journey that I'm trying to go on because of that gateway of the stomach ache thing. Like I can't do it. I can't do it. So I definitely want to get with people that are mushroom like trained and know how to do that stuff. But there's so many different plant medicines that are out there that take you down different journeys, and the journeys that I'm looking to go down when it comes to that connection to medicine. So there will definitely be more of me experimenting with that type of stuff. But when it comes to mushrooms, not so much for a while. But we are coming up on the hour mark. Does anybody have any questions? Because I'm going to wrap it up right here. I keep seeing the little chat come up when people say something, but I appreciate everybody that came to listen to my shenanigans and my stories about me tripping on mushrooms. It would have been fun to have somebody there to film it because it was just really funny. Like I wanted to set up my camera the whole time, but I was like naked during a lot of it. So I don't know how much of that I would have been able to show anywhere. But yeah, it was a really interesting experience. I'm grateful to the tripping and the lessons, but that stomach ache is for the birds. So that's all I got. I hope you enjoyed my stories. Stay tuned to more stories. And if you would like to see that those couple videos, head over to my Patreon. It's $5 a month. You get exclusive content. And so I'm going to be putting a lot more personal stuff and a lot more things that I feel more comfortable sharing with people that I know that are there to support me. So I love you guys. Have a happy rest of your Sunday fun day. Peace and blessings. All right.